So I hope the world doesn't blow itself up before I get to graduate law school. That would be really, really great. All these loans I would have taken out, all the time that I've spent studying and doing homework, trying to get this degree. So I really, really hope that we can at least get to that point, right? Before the entire world implodes on itself, because that's what feels like is happening right now, right? You got a war in this part of the world, then you got a war in this part of the world, and then you got us, the United States of America, who's funding it all, which is so crazy to me because we have issues of homelessness. There's certain states that don't have like good drinking water. Every job that was here that you can think of is now leaving or has been leaving. Every time I get on the highway to drive, I'm dodging potholes like they're effing mines, because the last time I hit one, my tire exploded on the highway. Yet we have billions and trillions and gazillions and whatever quintillions amount of money we have enough of it to send to other countries to fund wars that we're like technically not a part of. I understand we have invested interests in X, Y, and Z, but we're not actually fighting in the war. We're just funding it. And we're sitting back here and we're giving these people all this money. And then we're looking at the country that we live in and we're saying, we'll get to you in 10 years maybe. But when the war in Ukraine and Russia didn't threaten World War III enough, well, now you have a war between Israel and Palestine that has easily yielded some of the more disturbing things I've ever seen in my life. And it's unfortunate the time that we live in with like social media, because for some of it, like I see it and I'm so desensitized because I've seen so much like horrible stuff on social media that half of it, it's not that I don't care, it's not that it doesn't affect me, but it's just like, it's just in line with the other horrific things I've seen. But I have seen a few things that have really, really hit me like, damn, this is actually happening. Not once did I think I would ever see a video of people hoisting up a baby who no longer has life in it, is being hoisted up like either some kind of trophy or trying to like take the baby out of rubble despite the fact that it no longer has its life. I've seen videos of children severely injured because they have been caught in the crossfire of whatever is going on. And there's so many nuances to it, and that's not even what I want to talk about. I feel like everyone and their mother has already broken down the nuances of it, but in an effort to express like which side they're quote unquote going for and why you should go for that side as well. It's nothing wrong with having your beliefs and quote unquote siding with whoever you believe is moral and just. But the reality of this country is that it doesn't matter what issue it is, we are split down the middle, divided 50-50 on everything. And that's important for the structure of this country, at least the way it is now, because the political parties that we have, they would not be able to function if everyone was in agreement on everything, or if we at least had the necessary skills to be able to coexist amongst each other civilly despite our disagreements. The parties still wouldn't be able to function like they do now, because their intention is not to serve the people who vote for them. Their intention is to get into office and then reap the benefits of whatever that office yields for however long they're in there, whether it's 2, 4, 6, 8, or life. Years or whatever. That's what they want. But the problem with everything being split 50-50 is that in a situation like this, people seem to forget that this is a war in which people are dying on both sides. So splitting it down the middle 50-50, rocking your Free Palestine in your bio or Pray for Israel in your Twitter header, it's like, I get it. But at the same time, the action of picking sides becomes so combative, because if you are a pro-Palestinian or you are pro-Palestine, you then almost every single time, at least that I've seen, that means you are anti-Israel, and then the same goes for that. If you are pro-Israel, you are anti-Palestine. And that is such a problem. And I would believe this to be the reality for the vast majority of people who are just onlookers and bystanders of this entire conflict, is that very few people know what the hell to believe, because so much information is being thrown out from all over the place to make each side look bad. I saw a story about a hospital that was bombed. The first report that I heard about it was that Israel bombed a hospital. I don't know if it was to send a message or to retaliate for something else. But then I saw another report that said, well, no, it wasn't Israel, and that was a lie. It was Hamas shooting a rocket that failed and landed into a hospital. Then I saw another report that said, well, no, it wasn't the hospital, it was the parking lot. They shot a rocket and it hit the parking lot of the hospital. So it didn't actually hit the hospital. So I'm just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And from where I was sitting, that felt like a span of 20 minutes of just stuff coming out. You know, one coming out to try to discredit one side, then another story coming out to debunk the original story and then discredit the other side. It's like, I get people want to be quick to pick their sides, but at the same time, like, what's even real anymore? To the people who run the game, to the people who run the show, to the people who influence the world, like as we know it, this is a perfect scenario for them. Because something like this, a conflict like this in which people are dying on both sides and a lot of the details are being lost in the middle, somehow, some way, people have definitively picked their sides and they are staying there unequivocally, no questions asked. And once again, everything is split 50-50. So for a conflict that we're not even a part of, we are split down the middle. So much as so as people would beef with each other over these issues without really knowing what's going on, right? Fully. Like, a lot of the truth is being lost in whatever is going on in this conflict. And I'm not saying stay in the middle just to be favorable, right? To not definitively pick a side. That's not what I'm saying. But it is important when a news story comes out or a report is made on something that has supposedly happened to wait a second, be patient, give it some time, right? To see if it gets verified, to see if it's debunked, to make sure that you're not getting fed a bunch of BS and then you're taking a side prematurely simply because that's the American way, is to go to your corner, basically. But that's what's happening. And not only is it counterproductive to like find a resolution for this issue, it also maintains the divided culture that we've cultivated in this country to keep upright this political system that has been formed over the past 250 years. I saw a tweet in response to this. Somebody said, innocents are dying and the world tells you to pick a side. There is no evil intent in my words. I have no bias against anyone for their religion, in the killing, in the occupation, in the conflict. And the first comment that I saw under it was, you could have just said, I support terrorism and be done with it. And therein lies the problem. Because if you ask someone to describe Israel from a certain perspective, they're going to talk about how they believe that they're oppressive and a bunch of tyrants. If you ask them to describe Palestine and or Hamas from a certain perspective, they're going to talk to you about how this is a terrorist organization akin to ISIS, if not the actual organization. And if you ask somebody to describe each of those groups from perspective B, they're going to talk about how their favored group or their favorite side is being oppressed and they're the ones who are under attack. Not saying that the truth doesn't exist somewhere in there, but very few people are breaking down this situation in a way that brings forth the actual truth, or the truth to some degree, because we're here and they're there, so it's kind of hard to tell what's actually going on. But still, everyone is so quick. People just want to be first, and then they want to pick sides, and they want to update their Twitter bio with their preferred flag, and then they want to update their picture. It's like, come on, dog. People are dying, and then other people are just worried about being first, right? I done seen babies who have died, like I said, kids who have been caught in the crossfire. I saw these people, and I don't even know, like I said, I don't even know what side it's from, because it's hard to determine what to believe, right? I saw these people run a bunch of bodies over, right? And they filmed it, right? They filmed it and they were just running bodies over, just like driving and then reversing and then going some more, just running them over. And I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? And this is basically the epitome of why it is that I felt compelled to do what it is that I do, is to explore this side of it, so to speak. Not the neutral side, even though it can come off as that, but let me take a few minutes to like really analyze what is going on here. That way I don't jump to conclusions just in an effort to be first, to be first to make the report, to be first to pick a side, to be first to condemn someone else because they don't agree with me, right? Because when you do that, you're playing into the hands of the people who run the world. I don't know who the freak they are. I don't know what they look like. All I know is that they thrive off of division, especially in this country. Even though that's how we roll, doesn't mean that it's productive. It has never been, because we are so divided, it's insane. And I think I've said it before, but I feel like people in this country, we hate each other more than other countries hate us, right? If we were to go to war with some other country, I mean, I have no reservations about how we would do. I feel like we would hold our own. But at the same time, like, I feel like Civil War Part 2 is more likely to occur within the United States than the United States going to war with any other country, right? That seems more probable because of how much we hate each other. And a lot of it stems from division, right? And that division stems from a lack of pause, right? To see what's actually going on. So this is not hey, pick this side or pick that side, right? People believe what they want to believe and they pick who they want to pick. It's such a weird way to describe a situation like this, pick a side. But at the very least, take a pause, because this is the exact same thing that happened with the whole Ukraine situation. As soon as Russia invaded Ukraine, all I saw was like this overwhelming support, right, for Ukraine. And at least regarding our interests with foreign affairs, I get why. But there wasn't a pause, right? And because there wasn't a pause, guess what? Now Zelensky is here once a month asking for millions and billions and trillions of dollars. He's on the cover of the Financial Times magazine, Financial Times Person of the Year.
На 182-й день повномасштабної війни.
Gotcha, bitch!
That's what comes when there's not a pause to say, let me see what's actually going on real quick. You know, how can we approach this in a more calculated way that isn't so reactive? That's basically it. You know, like, I have my thoughts and opinions on the conflict as a whole, but I would like to think that a lot of those have stemmed from me reading articles, you know, looking at reports and dissecting them so that I'm educated to know what is going on. And that way, any assertions that I make, they're not rooted out of ignorance. There's no desire to be first for anything. There's just a desire to understand what is going on so that I can maintain the ability to freely think without feeling like I'm being brainwashed or duped by these people who thrive off of this, thrive off of the division and the hatred and the combativeness that has yielded from this situation and every other freaking situation in the history of this country and every other country on the freaking planet. So take a pause, break down what's actually going on, right? You don't have to write a 20-page paper on it to understand it. Just, like, do the research, read the articles, watch the reports, see what matches up, see what's kind of fishy, you know, and then make your determination on what is actually going on from there. But if at 12 o'clock I see that a war broke out between Israel and Palestine, and at 12:01 I see one of their flags in your bio and it wasn't there a few minutes ago, well, now we got a problem. So, like, just chill, right? Chill.
My nigga, chill.
Yeah, hold up. Yo, I'm just wait.
And see what's going on. And then from there, make your assertion, determination on how it is that you want to move forward. Because that, in my opinion, right, that's among the more better ways to go about something like this. Especially a situation like this in which people are dying, it is extremely important to be cautious about how you move. That way you are not being insensitive to, like, the loss of human life simply because you desire to be first. Something to think about.